Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to another Necrit video. We're going back to his MMO videos. So this is the one related to races and classes in the world. So I'm going to definitely learn about some of the characters in the game that I don't know. Like, I know there are Yordles and things like that, and humans, obviously. But there's definitely going to be some races that I just don't know about. This is going to help me learn a little bit more about the world that you guys love so dearly. Keep the comments coming. You guys have been super helpful in all of the comments and teaching me things that I totally missed or totally just did not know. So keep the comments coming. And you know what? If you liked the video, I appreciate it if you left a like. And if you like the other reactions, you might as well subscribe. And so we're going to get into the reaction now. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody, here we go. Let's get into it. Races and classes of Riot's MMO, according to lore.
We had a look at the world of Riot's MMO, and we talked about how the overall world design has been done for a few years now. If you have no idea what League's universe is about, I would recommend watching
that was a really good video and it taught us a lot.
Now that we learned about the basics, we can dive into the other big MMO topic. The playable races and classes.
Yes.
When it comes to the races,
this is going to help me,
just like the world,
I think.
They are
understand like the different kind of races in the world.
The lore fleshed out the races of Runeterra. And now they each have their own unique story.
I think personally I would make somebody from Ionia.
At this point, it feels like we know Riot will not make up a brand new race. Of course, they could always theoretically do it, but I seriously doubt they would. Because that would be like forcing a new race into the world of Lord of the Rings. It would feel off among all the already established rules. I strongly doubt you want to put a bunny person next to Aragorn. With that said, don't worry, because the lore will allow Riot to make up new races and make them feel natural. I'll show you their clever system in just a moment. But for now, just know that
Yordles.
Yes, we already know
I'd probably make a Yordle
of this world. So the question is not going to be what races Riot is going to
Yordle
make
assassin.
The question is going to be, from the races that already exist, which ones will be playable? And perhaps more importantly, how will they be playable? You see, a few years back, I released a similar video where we talked about the classes and the races together with TB Skyen. And today, I would not recommend you watch that video. Back then, I was still clinging onto the idea that faction-based MMOs were a good idea. It worked for WoW, and it worked for
I don't think faction-based would work for Riot.
Unfortunately, what I didn't know is that merely a year later, the idea of faction-based MMOs would crumble to dust. That's because factions have a massive flaw. Besides the fact that PvP is almost
it just limits
to be one-sided,
content, right?
I mean, who would want to
Why
play
would you
want to
limit content?
Especially if there's no compensation. Classic WoW is a perfect proof of that.
I believe New World has factions as well. Yeah, exactly.
But also, if you split everyone into two sides,
there's 3, I think, in New World.
Splitting up your player base. And that is almost
never
it's
the splitting of the player base is what it is.
To prevent people from playing together. The reason why in the past it worked for WoW is because Blizzard heavily played into the faction pride. People were proud to fight for the Horde or the Alliance.
And they were,
But even back then, it really wasn't perfect. And then people started min-maxing the game and they realized that factions didn't matter. And that's where Riot has the
It's true. I think it's true.
You may know that League of Legends
has
a lot of different regions. Where
I would make somebody from Bilgewater too, I thought.
They all have unique relationships with their neighbors. Because of this, forcing faction alliances into this world would ruin the already established lore. So PvP factions are most likely not going to be a thing. However, despite that, League absolutely has faction pride. People love it when a new Shuriman
like Demacia and Noxus,
because people love that place.
Shurima.
And people love it when the new champion is not Ionian, because goddamn we have too many Ionians. Nearly every League of Legends player has a favorite region.
Didn't know that.
And you bet when the MMO comes out, people will want to play for that region. And this is where the brilliance of Riot's world kicks in. You see, the fundamental lore of League
I really
of
love the
Legends
Demacian armor, though.
The idea that anyone can
sleek.
be from any region. After an event, the story refers to as the Westward Migration.
What is all this?
All around
the Rise of the God Warriors, War of the Three Sisters.
There is a furry region where you can only see furries.
What was that timeline?
There are definitely regions where you can see more furries, but this world doesn't have exclusives.
Poro.
This means that when you're picking up what you want to play, besides just picking a race and a class combination,
That's Pantheon.
I strongly suggest Riot also allows people to pick their origin. With the origin being the starting
so you pick
region.
like, you pick where you want to have your origin
you would
be.
force all human champions to be,
Like if
for
I wanted to
example,
be from Piltover.
Noxian. And that is simply
Or
not
something.
how this world works. So I've been mumbling about how this world works for quite a while. So now let's actually dive into all the races that exist in this universe.
Okay,
Spoiler
here we go.
alert, League doesn't have too many different races, because it's focusing on depth over variety. Of course, as it is with any RPG, there is the human race.
Right.
But it would be cool if the humans varied depending on their origins.
Little boring.
For example, if you pick a human from the Freljord, they would be an Iceborn and they would have extra frost resistance.
See, that would be cool.
Could have a bit more magic resistance.
You'd have to balance all
Ionians
this
could
stuff
have a
out,
bit more
though.
nature resistance, Shuriman's
I feel
heat
like-
resistance, and so on. I think it's going to be crucial for Riot to preserve the feeling of every origin feeling at least slightly different. This is an RPG after all, and despite the fact that balancing is usually a big issue, I strongly believe
just like
these
really
RPG
want to play
elements have
this
to be
MMO.
preserved.
I know it doesn't even
But
exist,
if
but I
Riot
would
is
love to play.
afraid of
I want to
people
play an
min-maxing
MMO
the
now
game from the
because of
very
all these
beginning,
videos.
Focusing on the origin stat with the most value. Riot can
Right.
always do the safe thing and only give each origin different customization. In the Freljord, people tend to be more pale with lush beards and Nordic tattoos all over their bodies.
Yeah.
Shurimans have the classic dreadlock style. People from Bilgewater have the pirate crew tattoos. Piltovans are your fancy
beer
mustache
bellies.
people, and Ionians have the wild untamed hair and beards.
Untamed
So
hair.
even without special origin stats, I do believe these unique character customizations
Yeah,
would
like
enhance
each
the
area of
region
the
Riot
map is
do.
so unique.
So
You can
that's
just tell
what
from all the
humans will be
concept art.
about. Pretty versatile and
Like,
nothing too
it's
special in an RPG
the world is
world.
built,
So now,
and the classes
let's
I
have a
feel
look
like
at
are
the more
built.
unique races.
and the races,
After
you know.
humans, the second most spread out race are the Vastaya. As we mentioned in the last
Vastaya.
video, the Vastaya
don't
are
really
a race
know-
that came to be after humans started
Okay,
mating with
Right,
magical
Vastaya
animals.
and
But
an
the thing
animal,
is,
or humans and
depending on
animals.
where they are from,
Okay.
there are loads of different
Whoa.
kinds of Vastaya.
I have not
From
seen.
cat boys to fox girls to
Okay.
lizard girls. In fact, here's a family tree of all the Vastayan tribes, and even
Oh.
this doesn't cover all of them. And this
Oh.
is where Riot can pull off something
Whoa.
genius. As I said, this world
Whoa,
already
okay.
has set rules. So it would be very difficult to introduce a brand new race into this universe. However, it is going to be
Yeah,
very
you might as well.
easy to just make up a new Vastayan tribe.
True.
So I propose that Riot
Shapeshifters,
doesn't make
Tribes
the
of the
Vastaya
Sea.
as a playable race overall.
I see
But
Ari.
instead, it would be cool if Riot let the specific
Are there any
tribes
other
to be
characters on
playable
here?
Races.
Hmm.
This would leave the door open for them to introduce new playable races later down the line.
Right.
If they cross
True.
off all the Vastaya at once, they kinda shoot themselves in the foot. But I know, here I go mumbling about how the world works.
I mean, I rarely
So
make
let's have a look at
human
some of the specific
characters in these
tribes.
kinds of games,
When I
but
say Vastaya, most people think
it depends
of
how
Ari.
interesting
She
they make
comes
humans.
From the Vasani that look like foxes. Although her tribe is mostly gone, the lore can
I mean, a lot of
justify
people will
new
make their
members
character
to be
look like
found,
Ari if they
so
could, right?
they
I feel
can
like
be playable.
100%.
The Kilash tribe comes from the jungles between Shurima and Ishtal. These lion-like people are known for hunting dangerous beasts, and they take great pride in trophy
So this is from
collecting.
Wild Rift, huh? That looks
It's
interesting.
the average mount collector. The Shimon tribe are monkey-like people from Ionia.
Oh, see, I would
While
actually
their
probably
older
do
members
that.
Are very wise.
I'd probably make a
their
monkey
younger
character,
members
like
can
Wukong.
be very goofy. The Otrani come from Mount Targon, resembling the classic goat people. Their
Goat people.
hobbies are taking
Oh,
care
a
of
goat
the
person would be
skeleton.
cool too.
The Lothland tribe are Ionians
Or like a character like
who
Zaya.
resemble bird people.
Yeah.
This tribe likes
See,
to
there's so many
combine the
cool
art of dancing with lethal
classes you could make.
assassinations. The Uvikat
I
are
mean,
something
races
close to
that you could choose from, I
lizards,
feel like.
though they do have the ability to
customize.
shapeshift. Out of all of the other tribes, these are the closest to their pure blood ancestors. And we also technically have the Marai, the fish people whom I doubt are going to be playable.
Fish
Imagine
people?
modeling boots for them.
Yeah, that wouldn't
Now,
that wouldn't work. I
these
don't
were
think.
the more pure blood tribes. But there are many more Vastaya who don't fit any of these.
They'd have to be in the game.
For example, Set
like a
has
story
an
for
Ionian
them.
Vastayan mother and a Noxian human father. So he doesn't really have a tribe. Long story short, the Vastaya are an incredibly versatile race, and Riot can use them in a million different ways.
Yeah.
This is where they can really go wild. But that's it for the Vastaya. So now, let's have a look at the third most popular race, the Yordles.
Yes,
These
I would definitely make a Yordle.
Classic RPG tiny people.
But I feel like they're really good with magic, right? So it feels weird to make them not be a magic character.
Kinda like those guys.
Yeah.
But not those guys, everyone hates them.
Gnomes?
There is no doubt in my mind that
Gnome
Yordles
hate
will
in
be
this
playable,
video.
even though they have an interesting catch. You see,
Well, I
unlike
guess,
all
yeah,
the
there's
other
Poppy.
races on Runeterra, Yordles
She'd be like a
are
tank,
immortal.
right?
They are essentially
That's how she's
modes
used
of
in
magic
TFT.
that come from a hidden magical realm known as Bandle City. And
Right.
because they are made of magical essence, when they die, we don't really know what happens. But we assume they return to the Bandle City and there they respawn. With that said, the
Wait,
lore
we
suggests
assume that
maybe
Yordles respawn?
can die, but they just can't die of old age. But let's
Wait,
ignore
really?
that. That's a massive rabbit hole. So,
Okay.
you know, when it comes to gameplay, at least
Who's this
corpse
buff
running is going
Yordle?
to make sense for
Who's the
them.
buff Yordle?
Now, because Yordles are immortal in most cases,
So they're
they are
immortal.
always
Okay.
happy and cheerful.
I think I've been told that, but I
Even their
forgot.
home realm is very colorful because of that. But then there is also Vex, a Yordle champion who has recently been added into League of Legends, who gives Yordles an interesting perspective. You see, unlike all the other Yordles, Vex hates living. She hates the bright colors and the cheerfulness.
That makes Vex
You know,
interesting
it's
to
the
me.
average League player, so Vex is constantly in deep depression.
Yeah,
and
I think that
agony.
makes her
All
more
she
interesting.
wishes for is to leave this world, but she can't, because Yordles can't die.
Ah.
Anyway, just like all the other
The
races,
dark music.
Yordles can be found all around Runeterra. There is Poppy in Demacia, Colette in Noxus, Kennen in Ionia, Rumble in Shurima, and so on. But now, so far we have
Yeah, it makes
only
sense that
covered the
Yordles are
races
kinda all
which
over.
I'm pretty sure will launch with the MMO. The humans, the Vastaya, and the Yordles are the core of this world. So now we are diving into the races that still exist in this universe. But it's going to be up to Riot if they make them playable.
Okay.
First of all, there are the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are different from the Vastaya because they don't have magical
Is there a
ancestors.
Minotaur
They
like
are
character to
just a
play in
standalone
League right
race.
now?
Originally, the Minotaurs controlled the mountains
I
south
feel like there
of
isn't.
Noxus,
I think I would
but
know.
because
Maybe I'm wrong.
Noxus is Noxus, soon they absorbed the Minotaurs into their empire. With that said, some Minotaurs fled the tyranny of Noxus and they joined the other regions. A great example
majority
is
are
Riot,
Noxus, though?
the Minotaur fighting in the elite armies of Demacia.
Oh, okay.
And yes, the Minotaurs also have the stereotypical
she looks cool.
sexy female version in this universe, so they can easily
like the
be turned
armor and
into a
stuff.
playable race.
Yeah, true.
Next,
Okay.
in Bilgewater, there is an incredible amount of weird fishy
Oh,
people.
I would
A
make
lot
somebody
of these
like
could
this.
be really cool playable races when Bilgewater gets
I
its
think.
expansion. Although modeling helmets for a hammerhead shark is going to be interesting. We also
Yeah, see, like,
can't
I'd make a
forget
hammerhead
about
shark.
the trolls.
Trolls.
Previously, I
You have
showed
to have
the
trolls.
ice trolls, but there are also the sand trolls. And here's an
Or
interesting
maybe not.
fact
I don't
for
know.
League veterans. We have never seen a sand troll, but because of Ezreal's adventures, we know they exist. They should be around Icathia, which is where Jax is from, who also has 3 fingers, by the way. So it is extremely likely that the mysterious Jax
What does that mean?
is a sand troll.
Oh, do
Regardless,
trolls
the
only have
majority
3
of trolls
fingers?
are united
Oh,
under Crumble, the
trolls only have 3
self-proclaimed
fingers.
Troll King,
I see.
who is fighting in the service of Lysandra, who is
Okay.
a baddie even though she is morally right. So since the majority of
Yeah,
the
she's like
trolls
protecting the
are
world,
our
right?
enemies, I doubt they will be a playable race. Lastly,
Yeah.
let's not forget that this universe also has Yetis. Fun fact, before everything
be a
got
boss.
frozen, the Yeti civilization
We aren't gonna get
was
Yeti
very
classes.
advanced.
Or
They
Yeti
even
as a
had
race.
their own technology based around magic. In fact, Willump, the Yeti Nunu is riding on, is a hologram from the Yeti technology. But then, as the civilization disappeared, the Yetis went a bit more ferocious.
I can't keep up sometimes
So
with the
no,
stories
they
of these
won't be
characters,
playable
man.
Either. But that's pretty much it.
I don't know much about
races.
Nunu and Willem.
As I mentioned, there aren't too many different
If you didn't find that out.
But that's because Riot is
Are there no,
avoiding
like,
mimicking other RPGs.
there aren't any elves or
That's
anything,
why
are
there
there?
are no dwarves or
Or
elves
dwarves.
here.
Oh, okay.
Runeterra is simply trying to be unique in every way,
Yeah.
and so far, it is working. Now, I also have seen some people asking if Darkin will be playable.
Yeah.
To which I have to say, that's like asking if you can play as a god. The Darkin
Well, okay, so
are
I don't
a
know much about
corrupted
Darkins,
version of
but
the Ascended God Warriors. A single Darkin
Okay.
can annihilate an army of 1,000. In fact, the Darkin known as Aatrox is the only being in existence that managed to kill a celestial god. He stabbed someone wielding the power of the Aspect of War so hard, the Aspect of War died.
So Aatrox kills Pantheon?
Will be playable.
And he's the
with all
Aspect of
races
War?
Covered, assuming Riot
Okay.
is going to use the
So
origin
I plan on
system,
reacting to
this is what the
Aatrox's
playable
voice
races
lines
could look like.
eventually.
Humans are versatile, they are
Probably in the
everywhere.
next
There is
vid.
not much to mention there. When it comes to the Vastaya, the common
So I
tribes
hear there's a
can
lot of
easily
lore in there.
appear in Noxus, Piltover, and Bilgewater. These
Okay.
are the regions open to everyone. On the
Humans
other
would be
side, the
everywhere.
Vastaya are closely
Yordles would
linked
be
to spiritual
mostly
magic,
everywhere.
so you will hardly find
Minotaur.
one in Demacia, since it is a
I feel like they need more
firmly
races,
anti-magic region.
actually.
And somehow, not
This
many
isn't enough
Vastaya
races
were
to
ever
choose from.
mentioned in the Freljord, so Riot doesn't have to force them there. But then we
Okay.
have Shurima, Ionia, and Targon. Assuming these would be saved for expansions, they could be used to introduce new playable races. Since I doubt all the newcomers remember
Okay.
the names, the Kilash, Lothlan, and Otrani are the Lion People, Bird People, and Goat People. When it comes
Okay.
to the Yordles, as I mentioned, they can originate from
So they're not in
anywhere, but they
Freljord?
do avoid the
Or
Freljord
Targon?
and Targon because of the harsh climates. And yes,
okay.
I know there were some prehistoric Yordles in the Freljord, but after it
Oh,
got
okay.
covered in ice, they disappeared. And lastly, the Minotaurs can be found in Demacia and Noxus. But it does make
Freljord
sense for some
and
of them
Ionia.
to flee to the Freljord, and
Okay.
others to travel to Ionia during the invasion.
Okay.
With all of this said, remember, this is just my decently educated opinion. Since the races are pretty much
I like that
mixed
this
up
video
all
is
over Runeterra,
very recent.
Riot
It's
could
only like 4
also
months
lift
old.
the limitations
So this
and let
tells me that
every
all of
race
this is up
start
to
in
date.
every
You know what I
region.
mean?
And I would be fine with that.
I'm glad.
Some story would be wonky, but it
Some of the
wouldn't be
videos we've been
anything
reacting to are
horrible.
like 2+ years
Although,
old.
I still believe some racial exclusivity helps the feeling of RPGs. So, all of this is still only the first half of the video. If you want to take a break and
Right.
do your business without washing
Do
your
my
hands,
business?
now's
Oh.
your chance.
All right, what are we getting into now? The
This
classes?
program will continue in 5 seconds.
Oh, that's a cool screen. So, okay, we're going to get into classes next, I assume. I feel like we
your
actually need
hands.
more races
Okay,
in League.
so
Am I
far
wrong?
we only covered
I don't
the
know.
races, which was definitely still the easy part. The much more difficult
Yeah,
parts
classes.
are going to be
Like,
the
how would they do
classes.
this?
This is where Riot is facing a great challenge. Partially, it's
I feel like you
because
could have
there
a
are
lot.
inherently no wrong answers when it comes to designing a class system. You can really make anything
Tank,
work
a
if you
mage,
put some thought into it.
Like Lost
But more
Ark, you
than
guys know the
that,
MMO Lost
Riot
Ark, that
is
has a lot of
challenged
classes in
by
it.
the setting itself. League of Legends currently has over 160 different champions.
You could take
They
some of the
each have
TFT
unique
classes.
abilities, and together they can define
use
about
those.
40 different classes.
Yeah.
I counted them myself.
Wow.
From these, Riot has to pick only a handful to be playable.
Yeah, they would need to
which
narrow
means
it down.
The majority of the classes won't make it in.
Yeah.
And people who love those classes will be disappointed.
True.
Thankfully,
They'll get over it,
I'm
I feel
not
like.
the designer, so instead of trying to figure out how to make this work, I'm going to show you all the cool, unique classes this universe has.
Okay.
And again, because region pride is a big part of this universe, you'll see that some of these are tied to specific regions. But not the warrior.
It makes
that one
sense.
is different in every single region. So let's
That
start
also
with
makes
that.
sense.
The warriors
So warrior?
in this universe provide a unique challenge on top of the already difficult decisions. It's because in every region, the fantasy of a warrior is represented by something else. In Demacia, it is the Dauntless Vanguard. These are the classic knights in shiny armor pursuing justice. In Noxus, the traditional warrior would be part of the Trifarian Legion,
Like a dual wielder,
which is a rank you can
I
achieve
feel like.
after killing your best sparring friend in combat.
Uh.
These guys rarely use shields.
Yeah.
In Shurima, the classic warrior is the warrior of the Golden Army. These are fighting for the glory of the
warriors
Shurima
are done pretty well in other
Piltover, you would
MMOs.
have the enforcers. Simply said, it's the cops. People will know these from
Like, I
ARCANE.
forget how it is in World of
But
Warcraft,
in a
but you have
way, the
several different
Wardens
kinds of
are the
warriors
melee
that you can
warriors
make.
of Piltover. But then, in the Freljord, warriors are represented by the Berserks, either wielding axes or giant blades as they worship the primal god known as the Iron Boar. On Targon, we have the warriors of Rakor, which are somewhat themed after the classic Spartan
I feel like
armies.
they'd have to narrow it down
in
more.
Ionia, the classic warrior is
They
known
couldn't
as
have
a
this
blade
many
master,
different
with
types of
samurai
warriors.
style
I don't know.
swords that have a rich
See, this
history
looks
in
like
this
it's too
region.
much.
Also, there are the Vuju blade masters, which are on a totally different level. The Vuju technique is so powerful it was forbidden from using it in combat. The TLDR version of the story is that when Noxus invaded Ionia, Master Yi obliterated entire Noxian legions on his own. Before Noxians realized how overpowered he was, and they nuked the town where the Vuju blade masters were trained.
Well,
so now
not
there's no more Vuju blade masters, just normal
just
blade
master.
masters.
Oh, okay.
And lastly, the common warrior in Bilgewater would be a brawler. You see, I just named
they'd have to narrow that
different
down.
kinds of warriors. How is Riot going to handle this? I don't know. They could just make
I think they would just
one
take some of them
warrior
out.
class and then just have the players play out the fantasy while wearing cool armor sets. Or they could make it so that every origin has a different skin of the class. You know, all the abilities would be the same, they would be doing the same numbers.
That's a
but
that's a
when Noxian
solution.
swings a weapon, there is a bloody
But the
trail,
gameplay is exactly
and
the
when
same,
an
but the
Iceborne Berserk swings a weapon, there is a frosty effect.
yeah.
But again, this is for Riot to figure out. Now I'm just going to show you all the
Ranger
unique
would
and
probably be a
interesting
class
classes
now
from
that I'm seeing this
universe.
image.
In Demacia, we have the Mage
Maybe.
Seekers. These
Definitely
are the
mages.
people who hunt down mages. They carry with them a stone disc called the Grey Mark. This is the
Grey
tool
Mark.
that allows them to absorb magic. So this would be sort of an anti-magic class. There are also a lot of iconic Demacian scouts. Also, Demacia has a lot of stories about theaters and bards. But Demacia also brought spotlight onto the Sentinels. The Sentinels of Light are people dedicated to fighting the undead. Because the undead can't really be killed with normal weapons. They use the relic stones that can be forged into any weapon. Be it a crossbow, a gun,
Yeah,
a
there's
really
so much, like,
big
with
gun,
classes, I don't know,
or
they'd have to
even a
narrow it
sword.
down. There's so many different
Fun
types of
fact,
weapons
in
in
the lore,
League.
the Sentinel guns don't
And
have triggers.
I don't know.
You have to will it to fire with every fiber of
Like,
your
would they
body.
make a class
So
that
of
solely
course,
uses guns? I
Lucian
feel like,
canonically
because you have,
fired
like, a
it
lot of people with
his
guns.
BB. Lastly, this will
Actually.
be unknown to even veteran League players. But Demacia put a really cool
Or a
twist
decent
onto
amount,
the
anyway.
Paladin class. You see, in League of Legends, when you play as Garen, his ultimate is to smite his enemies with a giant holy blade. This made people wonder, is Garen a mage? In Demacia? Actually, no. In the
He's just a
lore,
paladin.
Garen has never done anything even similar to this. And that's because there is something even cooler happening. Most people in Demacia pray to the aspect of justice, which they call the Winged Protector. That's why Demacia has a lot of angelic statues. Coincidentally, the aspect of justice can also be found in League. It's Kale. So what's happening is that when Garen is casting his ultimate,
Kale is helping?
It is not him magically creating a holy blade in the sky.
It's Kale.
It is actually the aspect of justice answering his call.
That's interesting.
So even though this
That feels a little
universe doesn't
magic-y,
really
though,
have a
I'm gonna be
paladin
honest,
class,
Garen.
which would be casting holy spells.
Just a little magic-y to me.
This would be a really cool alternative. People who worship the aspect of justice and let her answer their calls. Pretty cool, but now let's
I need to
move
learn
on
a little bit
Noxus.
more about why Demacia hates
Noxians
magic.
are one of the only regions
I just
who
know they
harvest
do.
black powder. So they
They're, like,
also
afraid
have
of
their
it?
own mercenaries with functional guns. In Noxus,
Samira.
you can also find a lot of demonic cultists. So I would expect a warlock or a demon summoner. And they also have a few renowned assassin guilds. And the most
Yeah, I wonder if
unique
assassins
of
would
them
be a
all,
class.
Noxus
Or like a
also has
rogue.
circle of
Not necessarily an
Hammer
assassin,
Dancers,
but I feel like
people
rogues,
who
right?
follow Vladimir, a lord who used to be a hostage to the Darkin, and who eventually learned how to use their blood magic. So these people
I don't know much about
very
Vladimir.
same blood magic that shaped the Darkin. Then in Shurima, we may find Arcane mages. These people follow Zerath, the most powerful mage on Runeterra.
Add them to the list of different mages you could have.
Nothing but arcane energy.
I feel like you have to start simple first. You can't have so many classes when you start off with an MMO. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've never made an MMO myself.
Also has
but
some prophets who can open up tiny portals into
like
the
too
void
much,
and summon tiny void creatures. It would be sort of like Warlock in WoW. You know, use the power of the enemy against themselves.
Yeah.
Then there are the Sand Shifters. People who can use the sand to create sand mirror images. And we can't forget about the Chronomancers. People who use time magic in a lot of creative
I think that would just be,
ways.
these would be different types of
Then
mages.
in Piltover, riding off of the success of Arcane, people will want to play as a Warden, which is a more elite version of the Enforcers. These would be equipped with sniper rifles and stun grenades.
I feel like you would
On the
make
crafty side,
like
there
a
are
Caitlyn
also
character,
the Hextech
also like
engineers.
Ash.
These are the
So like a
people who
ranger
can
type
use
character where you could
science
either
to
use
allow them
guns
to
or bow
wield
and arrow.
magic, even if they are not mages.
I don't know.
And separate from them, there are also the artificers. To them, anything
So
from a
many
powerful
classes
arm
in the
to
world.
blade legs should be possible. And down in Zone, I would love to see some kind of an alchemist who's using questionable
that
drugs
actually
to
would be
help
kinda
his
cool.
allies. Next we go into the Freljord. Here we can find the Draklorn Inquisitors, which are Lyssandra's followers with abilities themed around true ice. Essentially, these would be frost battle mages. But perhaps the most iconic for the Freljord would be the Shamans. These worship
shamans.
the animalistic primal gods of the Freljord.
Shaman are like a
and
druid
all their abilities
class,
mimic
one or the other.
primal gods. Be it a bear, a fox,
I feel like you could do a druid
mammoth,
class.
or a boar.
Or both.
Then on
Druid and
Targon,
shaman.
we would find a lot of people with celestial powers. You know, calling down stars.
I
and
feel like
such.
Targon wouldn't have
But there are
a
also the
class
Solari
from there.
who use
I don't
the
know.
power of the sun to enhance their attacks. They also wear massive plated armor, so this would be the tank class. Or the Lunari, who use the power of the moon
I like
to
the
stay
Lunari.
in the shadows.
We like
This
the
would be
moon on
more
this
of an
channel.
assassin class. Besides these, there are also a lot of star callers around, and even draconic worshippers.
Okay.
Then in Ionia, besides the Vuju Blade Masters, which would be far too overpowered,
Right.
some people choose to fight without a blade. These would be the monks of Hirana.
Monk. Yeah, a monk
They
class, just
channel
like in
the power
Diablo.
of Ionian dragons to empower
So like your
their
hand-to-hand
limbs.
combat
And
kind of
don't worry,
class.
they are a bit different from the traditional monks. They are far more badass. Think less Bruce Lee and more Dragon Ball. But of course, Ionia is also home to the Kinku ninjas.
Yeah, I think these would be,
Their goal
I
is
don't
to
know, would there be a
maintain
ninja
balance in
class?
Ionia.
Maybe there's
This
straight up
means
be a
that when
ninja
a spirit
class.
starts killing people, the ninjas go out and deal with
There
the
would be too
spirit.
many classes. They'd
And
have to
when
narrow this
people
down.
start terrorizing
They'd
the
have to
spirits,
100% narrow
the
this
ninjas
down.
go out and deal with the people.
Like he was saying at the
Most of
beginning,
these are your classic
some people would be
ninjas
disappointed
empowered
that some
with
of their classes
spiritual
didn't get
magic.
put in.
But some are using the forbidden shadow technique. And while they surely look evil, just like anything in League of Legends, it's not really one-sided. These ninjas are simply using questionable techniques to protect their homeland. And honestly, the Shadow Ninjas are so iconic for Ionia, I really do believe they will be playable. Then we get to Bilgewater. Besides all
we
the
just
things
make, like,
that
pirates?
you could do with pirates and
You know?
monster hunters,
I don't know.
the most iconic class of this place are the Priests of Buru. The Buru
A
worship
priest
the god of
class?
motion called
I could maybe see a
Nagatiboros.
priest class. You need to have a
While they
healer,
are
right?
Priests,
A
they
support
fight
class?
with full physical strength, while borrowing power from the god to empower themselves. Usually this means the god spawns tentacles to smack the enemies around. But they also have healing powers. So that would be a really cool support class.
Green screen.
In Riot's
There we go.
RPG called Ruined King, you can play as Ilawi.
I've thought
the
about
High
playing this
Priestess
Ruined
of
King
Nagatiboros. And there
game
you
on
can
Steam.
see all the attacks she can pull off.
I feel like I'll learn
And
a
this
little
takes
bit more
us to
about the
last
lore.
place, Ishtal, which will most likely be saved for an expansion. As I mentioned in the last video,
Yeah, we don't
Ishtal
know much about them,
specializes
right?
in only one thing: elemental magic. So if elemental mages
Ooh, an
become a
elemental
class,
mage would be
and
really
they
cool.
should, even in
That would be
League,
really cool.
elemental
I'd probably
dragons
make one.
are a core mechanic. They would come from Ishtal. But
what
that's
characters
it for
in
all
League
the
are from
classes
Ishtal?
this universe has to offer.
What are some of the characters?
Funnily enough, when I was drafting all these classes, I realized a lot of them fall under specific categories. So going
Warrior,
with the same
Gunslinger,
idea for all the
Hybrid,
classes
Mage,
wouldn't
Summoner,
be too
Rogue, and
unreasonable.
Support.
But developing so many artistic variations of the classes would be taxing. So overall, I believe Riot should not care about disappointing some players for
Yeah,
not
I think you
including
kind
their
of just got to
favorite
make your
class.
decision, and
With so many options, it's going
that's
to
it.
happen anyway. Instead,
They can't
pick
keep
a
every
couple of
class.
classes that simply make sense for you. You know, a Blade Master here, an Arcane Mage there, and just have fun.
I mean, you can add
Having
more
fun
classes
during
later as the
development
MMO
usually translates
thrives.
into great experiences.
You know,
And I hope I'm not pressuring anyone by stirring up hype. If anything, I'm just happy that people find these videos interesting. And all I'm doing
It is.
is
It helps me
presenting
learn
information
more
that
about the
Riot
lore of
released
the
over
world.
the past 10 years. I mean, I know the video is interesting because Asmon only paused 3 times and he said,
"That's fucking cool."
and,
I like it a lot.
and,
What the fuck? This is actually really cool. I didn't know any of this.
that to me marks a big success. Next time we are
That's
going
funny.
to talk about all the already established raid bosses of this universe. Which is a very personal
right, that'll be
topic
another
for me.
video. We'll react to
You
that
know,
one.
I am a father.
It'll
My
let me
son
learn about
is
some
2
of the
years
big
old.
creatures and
So
bosses.
by the time this MMO comes out, he's going to be just the right age to heal my raids.
All right, that looks like that's the end of the video, guys. So, that was awesome. I learned a little bit more about the races. So Vistaya, I actually forgot about them from the previous video. I mean, Yordles would obviously be super popular. I didn't know, I think I knew they were immortal, but it's kind of interesting that we don't know exactly why they're immortal, or we don't know more. Like, what's the deal with Yordles and everything with them? It's very interesting. I didn't know Minotaurs were, like, he pointed out Minotaurs as a 4th race. I actually thought there would be more than just human, Vistaya, and Yordles. And then Minotaurs kind of seems just like slapped on, because I don't know if there's even a Minotaur character you can play in League of Legends. So it's very interesting. I definitely think Riot could make an MMO, 100%. When he went to the classes, it reminds me of Teamfight Tactics, right? Teamfight Tactics, they change it up like from season to season, right? There'll be, you know, like for example, Lux will be a mage one season, and then she'll be like something else in another season, and then something else in even another season. Like, they can keep changing the name of the class for one character many times. So it's very interesting. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys, what class you would probably make. Like, just from this video, what would you make? Would you make like a Yordle Arcane Mage or something? Or would you make, you know, just a human, you know, warrior? You know, I'm not necessarily a human warrior kind of character. I usually play your range class, so like your archers or your people with guns, or I occasionally play mage characters from time to time. Or no, I play rogues as well. I would love to have like a rogue class. If the rogue class would be like an assassin from Ionia or something, that'd be really cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the reaction, and let me know in your comments anything that I may have missed from this video. If there's any lore that I should know as well. We have 2 more, I believe there's 2 more of Necrit's videos related to the MMO that we can watch. The one of them is, I believe, the raid bosses, and then another one is like loot or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Those are also very recent, only like 2 months or 1 month that they were released ago. So they're very recent. So we'll check those out in some of the next videos. But we have some voice lines that I need to react to as well. And you guys have been super, super helpful in the comments. I've learned a lot from all of you in the comments, so keep those coming. And if you like the video, please like the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and then other people can watch it, you know. And if you like my other reactions, you might as well subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, peace. I'll see you guys in the next reaction. Bye.